This is a nothing. Yes, did they play perfect? No, they still win. Yes.
What are you doing if the Celtics win the championship?
If the Celtics win championship, I might break my sobriety. I might act up.
We did it! You got him.
All the way.
Celtics versus Heat. Celtics in what?
4.
Celtics versus Knicks. Celtics in
4.
You got Celtics in 4? Hell yeah.
Use a vocab word from a couple years ago. It's mind-boggling.
That's it, GRG. Let's go. What are you saying for tonight?
You think I'm worried about the Warriors? I ain't worried about the
Let's go, baby. 18, baby. Load up the boat.
Why would you say that?
Because
I'm not. No,
recently he's putting up games like
above our head for the players.
literally right now.
But I think when Marcus, especially Marcus, when he got traded, I think that was a wake-up call.
You think right now,
Rob,
it's still New York?
I do. And when I think of the Celtics dynasty, honestly, one of the first names that comes to my mind is actually Brad Stevens.
Whew. What is going on? Welcome into the late night Celtics Talk weekly post-game show. I am your host, Rob Etain. You know these two guys, Nick Franco and Seamus is our lingo, guys. The Celtics, they pick up their 6th straight win tonight on the road in Sacramento. 113-95 was your final score. Now, obviously, it feels like this game on a Monday/Tuesday night at the end of March as the season's winding down has been overshadowed by this overarching question mark that is the Jason Tatum injury. And we are going to get into that, obviously, guys. However, the Boston Celtics did, however, need to finish out a game, and they did just that. However, on another note, Jaylen Brown returned from injury tonight. He had a 3-game absence with that bone bruise in his right knee. Again, 1J comes, 1J goes. A little unfortunate circumstances here, guys, tonight. Obviously, despite the win, it feels a little like Celtics fans are holding their breath right now for a real update. We got a couple updates, and we'll keep you guys updated as we go. But again, you know the drill, your overall thoughts, takeaways, reaction from what was otherwise a very impressive win.
Very impressive win from this team going forward with this season. It's just about keeping your players healthy. They did play some regulated minutes, but it really shows that a player can get injured at any time, and especially when you're facing a team like the Sacramento Kings. And we look at these games as almost wash away games during this time of the year, but when you look at the Sacramento Kings, they're in an absolute dogfight in the bottom of the West play-in tournament and fighting for a position to be able to contend for a playoff spot. So this is a game that meant a lot to a team like Sacramento, and you saw them bringing a lot of intensity, especially during the first quarter. You saw the Celtics kind of dragging their feet through the mud in the first quarter, but then they were able to pick it up. The shots started to fall, and also were able to pick up their efforts on the defensive end. And then we saw the injury to Jason Tatum, which is a scary injury to see. It's an active game, and what I was trying to round that off to was I've seen a lot of people saying that it was a dirty play by Sabonis, but I just see that more as a competitive game. It's a competitive game, and it was just tight up defense. Obviously, you got to avoid putting your feet where the player is landing after they shoot, but other than that, I didn't really see any issues with it. But
can I say something just about that real quick? Just real quick. Yeah. I'd love to chime in because I read on Twitter a Greenberg tweet, Barstool Greeny, one of my go-to guys while the games are going on. Love him when he tweets. Something he tweeted that I really liked was, this happened because players have gotten away with this all year with Jason Tatum and his landing. This has been a problem that's popped up. I think this is the second, third time this year. I remember back earlier on in the year, it happened against Milwaukee on the road. This is a call that Jason Tatum does not get. He does not get these landing zone calls, and it happens so frequently. We know Jason Tatum in these ankle problems. It has been persistent. Remember 2023 in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7. What happened? Tatum goes up, lands awkwardly on his ankle. This happened because the NBA has not protected Jason Tatum in these situations. Players know they can get a little bit more aggressive on the closeout when Jason Tatum is pulling up. Now, does that make it intentional? I agree with you, Franco. No, I don't believe it was intentional by Sabonis. However, right, players have gotten away with this, and they know they can close out a little bit more aggressively on Jason Tatum. And it happened tonight. Unfortunate events. Tatum falls, sprains his ankle. We're waiting to hear what the update is, but I had to chime in there because I loved what Greeny said in that aspect. Players have gotten away with this all through Tatum's career, and the NBA needs to crack down on it because it's become a real problem for their superstar right now.
And you see so many close calls with it during these regular season games. It will happen like once or twice every other game that you'll see Jason Tatum have someone within his landing spot. And there's been times that it didn't end up being called, but it would have been noticeable at some points. I'm sure there's going to be adjustments to the rule at some point with the NBA and how the league continues to progress in that standpoint. But now looking at the injury standpoint of that, it's challenging to see what they do. Obviously, you want to see them play conservative, but just being able to close out tonight's game, being able to find that motivation to push forward, expand their lead during that fourth quarter when Tatum was taken out of the game is what you need to see out of these players, and it shows that they had that motivation to play for Tatum when he was out, and hopefully we hear more good updates and we'll keep on filling in as time goes forward.
Where do I even start? The main story of this game is obviously Jason Tatum and Jason Tatum going down, because when Jason Tatum went down, it was seriously like, oh my gosh, the president, he's been hit. And you could just feel like the energy coming off the entire city of Boston throughout the nation where Jason Tatum, he's going and rolling down on the ground. I'm thinking, oh my God, his
Someone
legs
fell
broken.
to their knees in a Dunkin' parking lot.
I'm thinking his leg's broken. I'm thinking this season, this just ended. This season just ended. And you watch the replay and you're going, oh, well, that's actually a common play. And maybe that's actually a problem like you guys were talking about, because this actually came up earlier in the season with Jason Tatum. And you guys make a fair point on really guys getting away with this type of call and really no call. Landing under Jason Tatum, and it's happened quite a few times this season, and Jason Tatum's actually said something about it at the podium quite a few times this season, and yet it results in Jason Tatum injuring his ankle 10 games from the NBA playoffs. Only 10 games left on the schedule, and now Jason Tatum, his status with his ankle is up in the air. It seems like it seemed like he just tweaked it. Like, I don't know how bad the sprain would be, but
doesn't feel too good, but
exactly, it's not going to feel too good either way. And going into the playoffs, that's really not what we want to see. We want to see this team stay healthy. They're on a roll. I mean, right? This game tonight, I mean, look, 113-95. If you want to talk about a flipped script or really a flipped switch as well, think back to January, specifically the game against the Sacramento Kings early on in January. The final score of that game at the TD Garden was 114-97. The Sacramento Kings won that ball game. Tonight, it was the Boston Celtics winning this ball game 113-95. Literally, the script was flipped. And that's the Celtics. This game really symbolized the Celtics flipping that script for themselves this year and going on the run they're currently on right now. And yet, right in the midst of the game, Jason Tatum, he unfortunately, the Celtics cannot check the box of health right now, because we just saw we saw Jaylen Brown miss a couple of games with a knee injury. Now he comes back into the lineup. Jason Tatum out with an ankle injury. We have no idea the severity of it. We're hoping it's not too bad, but yeah, the fact that this is something that actually needs to be discussed within this whole situation. I will say, on your guys' point, just going back to that real quick, the Jason Tatum ankle injury and guys getting away with putting their feet under Jason Tatum on reckless closeouts throughout this season, fans don't really think about this aspect of it, but you have film sessions all the time in the NBA. I mean, really, film sessions are the most important thing. It's not really practice. Teams don't really practice that often. What they will do though is watch film literally every day of the season. Guys are watching film. And within all those film sessions, things like that come up when you understand as an assistant coach or even a head coach that, hey, refs aren't really calling this against this certain player. We can get away with this defensively if we just kind of push the envelope there defensively, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be on closeouts like that. It could be something in terms of hand checking, like, oh, okay, well, against this player, they never call hand checks. So, hey, just go up in there and be physical. That could be something that ultimately falls on film as well. And I'm just saying that is something, an aspect of this whole thing with Jason Tatum that kind of goes under everyone's noses, but it is something true. If refs don't call something a certain way, teams can be more aggressive with it. And that could be closeouts on Jason Tatum if teams understand that, okay, guys, we see on film, they're landing in his area. It's never called. We can be more aggressive on those closeouts versus you think about a player, really this season, but still quite a while ago now. Think back to 18-19 Harden. James Harden that season, you could not get anywhere near his landing area. I mean, if you got anywhere near him, he was so good at just kind of lunging his feet forward. I mean, you think of the patented Harden step back, and he just like lunges forward on the step back, like he's somehow falling back but falling forward. That's somebody that at the time you're watching on film going, you can't be that aggressive on your closeout on James Harden because he's going to lunge into you. Well, Jason Tatum, if they're not calling that against Jason Tatum, and of course Jason Tatum is not embellishing it as much as James Harden, then under that scenario, yeah, coaches could tell their players, be more aggressive on these closeouts, and then you see what happens. Jason Tatum twists his ankle. I mean, this is the classic, it's the Zaza rule. Back 2017 Western Conference Finals, yep. Kawhi Leonard injures his ankle, misses the rest of that series after game one. Zaza Pachulia, reckless closeout. This is where this rule comes from. And it's upheld in some areas, but other areas it's not. And tonight, unfortunately, it just failed. Well, I would say from the standpoint of giving Sabonis a flagrant one, that's great. That should have happened. But in terms of preventing the actual play, that failed tonight. And that was the main story of this ball game, because otherwise the Celtics beat a Kings team that, I'll say this right now, the Sacramento Kings, if you ever want to know how to build an 8 seed or a 9 seed or a play-in team in any conference, I mean, go straight to the Sacramento front office, because they have you guys hooked up. Because what is going on with this Sacramento team? You have Jonas Valanciunas, Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and then kind of this myriad of young players. I mean, you have Malik Monk there too, but Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray.
Markelle Fultz is back on an NBA court. How about that?
I'm happy to see that. He was a Celtic for a month. He was in terms of graphic edits, he was a Celtic for a month back.
We're number 20.
Like May, June of 2017. Then we traded back, and then it was like, oh, maybe Jonathan Isaac Tatum. It's like Fox. I don't know.
Josh,
the right guy, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's the main story of tonight. Jason Tatum gets hurt. Celtics blow out the play-in Kings. I mean, all the it seems like the Kings housed all these guys like through the years, where it's like, oh, watch out for that guy, watch out for that guy, and then now all of a sudden they're all on the same team, and it's like, well, the Kings just took everybody's like, oh, he's good enough to get paid, but not good enough to be an integral piece of a championship team. That's what it feels like the Kings have right now, all over their roster. But hey, they used to be Celtic killers at some point in time, but
they were
not right now. Not tonight. Not tonight.
From this game, right? From a standpoint, just this game outside the Tatum injury, Celtics are clicking right now, man. I mean, they're playing some really good basketball. They really handled business very well tonight. Again, against a team that is fighting, and they're playing for something. These games are like Franco mentioned earlier. This is a team, and Seamus alluded to the 7 and 8 seed, because it really is very, very true. It's like you go on to 2K and you make this type of team, and you think to yourself, how are we not good? You're just a 7th or 8th seed. They did very, very well tonight. I loved what the bench gave you. Shireman, Cornette, and Pritchard were phenomenal tonight. You need that type of night. I thought Brown looked a little slow, a little step behind, but again, coming back from injury, missed a couple games. That's expected. He only played 25 minutes. They're going to integrate him back. Honestly, Tatum potentially missing some time could be good for Jaylen Brown now to get his footing within running the offense, because of he's been in and out of the lineup for the past couple weeks dealing with that injury. So hopefully Brown can kind of get his season back on track right before the playoff starts. Baylor Shireman to me, guys, right now is giving me Marcus Smart vibes. He is a dog. And tonight, what he showed us was a defensive impact that I want to get into it a little bit later. But I'm going to start that narrative. The Baylor Shireman might be this team's Marcus Smart in the making because it's there. A lot of the intangibles are there, and he's got a shot on him. However, again, Jason Tatum, I do want to give my input on this. Again, I mentioned a little bit about my overall thoughts on the play itself. Seamus, I agree. This is something that NBA teams know. Okay, when Tatum goes up, you can be aggressive, right? Get up on him on that shot. One, he's 6'9", he's a high riser. It's tough to contest his shot. So they know you can get a little bit more aggressive. The NBA in this rule, they need to have a zero tolerance for it. On any, I am for certain players get certain calls, their status kind of gives them it. I understand that, right? There's a level to it. And this play is probably the most dangerous play in basketball. It is the landing down on someone else's foot. We saw it completely derail NBA history in that Western Conference Finals, and the creation really of this rule, like you said, the Zaza rule, with the impacts that this play could have. The NBA needs to crack down on this. I don't care if it's Peyton Pritchard taking the shot, Jason Tatum taking the shot, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander taking the shot. You have to have a zero tolerance for lazy and bad closeouts. I know it wasn't intentional. However, you've been playing basketball now, Sabonis has, probably for what, 15 years of your life. You know how to safely contest. And if you can't safely contest, then you weren't in a good defensive position to even be contesting in the first place. And the NBA as a whole needs to have a zero tolerance for this, because it is, again, for a Celtics team and for a player of the caliber of Jason Tatum, the NBA can't afford to have Jason Tatum not be in the playoffs, and neither can the Boston Celtics. So it's not good from an NBA standpoint, and it's not good from a Boston Celtics standpoint. So the NBA needs to crack down. We did get an update, however, on this injury via Adam Himmelsbach. I might have butchered that name. I apologize. Himmelsbach. I'm terrible with names. So again, Jason Tatum was not made for interviews. No media session for him tonight. Now, the one positive, ignore the eating and joking part. It's good to see him in good spirits, obviously. However, the one positive is that both sneakers were on his feet. He was not in a boot out of the locker room, which that is a good sign. Obviously, with these ankle sprains, we've seen it before last year with Kristaps Porzingis. Sometimes they boot him if they get a little nervous about it. So that could be good signs moving forward for the Boston Celtics and Jason Tatum. Again, we'll keep you updated if we have anything. Mazzulla was interviewed and he was asked about the injury. Mazzulla obviously said Tatum said he was okay, no boot. That's all we have so far. Expect to be updated tomorrow morning. However, with Boston playing another game on Wednesday against Phoenix, I would not expect to see Jason Tatum made available for that. Also, I will say this in regards to the Jason Tatum injury, Joe Mazzulla's got to give a little bit more pushback here. I understand Tatum loves playing, and that's a great quality to have. He's somebody that believes and understands the idea of what it is to be a superstar and how players or how young kids come with his shoes that they got for Christmas and their jerseys and, you know, their fans. I understand that. I love that. It's a great quality to have. The greats need to have that. However, you got to have a little bit more pushback, because tonight, hopefully what signs are pointing to is that it's not going to be as severe as it could have been. But this Jason Tatum is too important to what Boston does to be playing around. And I get it was a freak accident, but if I'm Joe, give a little bit more pushback, please. Like, fight him a little bit more, because I know how much JT likes to play, but I can't, for my mental sake, for the Celtics sake, just for everything. I can't go through that right now. But so that's that. I don't know. I just couldn't. So
What's odd about what you're saying right now is, coming into today, I was actually thinking, second night of a back-to-back. I mean, really. Second night of a back-to-back. I mean, last night we played the Blazers. Jason Tatum, he was there. I mean, he was there. He played that game, played well last night. And I was thinking coming into tonight's game, I was going, is he just going to just do it again tonight? Just
I mean,
do it again.
I was over the past 2 nights.
So he played 26 tonight, and I want to say 35 last night.
I mean, even 26 minutes though. I mean, he went out in the middle portion of the third, so he was probably on his way to at least over 30 tonight.
Yeah,
right,
34.
Right. That's what I was thinking. 34, somewhere around there. And Jason Tatum, it's like, is he just gonna? I was seriously thinking going into today. I was going, is he just gonna do this every night? Like I saw him because I've checked the injury report. I mean, you see him; he's on the thumbnail. Every time I go do the thumbnail, I'm like, all right, who's on the injury report? So I'm like, who's in, who's out, and especially at this time of the
Yeah,
season.
you don't know.
And I was like, oh, Jason Tatum's in, so obviously he's on the thumbnail. But I was thinking when that process was happening, I was going, is he just gonna do it like when is he going to stop? Like there's 10 games left. Like I always see on the schedule, the last two Charlotte Hornets games, right? We played Charlotte. That's the schedule a little weird with Charlotte this year. We played them back to back, a Friday, a Saturday, early in November this season, and then now mid-April, late season, of course, playing back to back again. But those two games, I'm always looking at those games going, okay, well, Tatum, Brown, they're gonna rest one of those games, at least game 82, or play limited minutes in a game 82 scenario. But then before that, there's only 8 games before that little 2-game stint. I'm wondering when is the moment in which we're gonna see Tatum and Brown. I mean, Brown's been out the last however many games. Tatum, he was kind of missing games here or there, but I was really wondering the last couple games, where are we going to see these guys sit? I thought tonight, I didn't think we were going to see Brown tonight. I didn't think we were going to see Tatum tonight. I didn't think we were going to see anybody tonight. And surprisingly so, we saw everybody out there, really. I mean, it was mostly everybody out there on the court. I mean, I believe Al Horford.
Hauser and Horford. Yeah,
Hauser and Horford. But outside of the bench guys, Hauser and Horford, everybody else played, and that was pretty surprising to me. But Jason Tatum coming into tonight, that's what makes this injury so, like, should he have been resting tonight? I know it was such a freak accident. Like, I'm not
Exactly.
to me, that's why it's
Right.
like I can't really put too much on Joe or any of the coaching staff or training staff or even Jason Tatum, because it's a freak injury, and this could have happened last night. It could have happened any night. But I was wondering going into tonight, when is Jason Tatum going to start to rest? It could have been tonight, could have been another night on this West Coast road trip, but we were going to see that regardless moving ahead. And now I just wonder if it's. I'm hoping for Jason. Obviously, for everybody in Celtics Nation is hoping this, but Jason Tatum's injury, if it's a little lesser, this could actually play into the Celtics' hands over time, because Jason Tatum, he might have already been resting some of these games moving forward. Now he might rest a little bit more. Now, I
Right.
will say that could affect the Celtics' rhythm just a bit, or I'm just saying this too, gives more minutes to some of the forward rotation right now on the back end to
Right.
see where they slot in come playoff time. That could be a positive for the Celtics, and guys getting more minutes, and Joe seeing what he has in some of these guys at the end, like Shireman, Craig, Jordan Walsh, come playoff time, even Hauser as well. But also Jason Tatum, he might have a little bit more time to rest instead of just resting, every other game like he's been doing. Maybe now he gets a couple games in a row, and he still does that every other game, say the last 5 games, and plays like 3 of the last 5. Say he does that, and then come playoff time, maybe he does feel 100% healthy and he's ready to go. My only worry and my concern is right now is maybe that ankle injury, maybe it's not severe, but come playoff time, is it just a little tender? Is it a little, constricting to the mobilization of Jason Tatum in a couple ways? We're not going to know about that until he really comes back on court, but he was on such a roll, and to see that happen to him right now, it seriously was. I mean, it felt like the whole season stopped when he was on the floor
Right.
in that particular moment. I mean, that is really the story of this entire game, outside of all the play. There's a lot of play to get into, but when Jason Tatum, when he was on the floor, I mean, that was the story of the night right there. That was it. Everything
Right.
else stopped. It was like afterwards, Kristaps made a 3, and it's like, all right, let's just whoop them. Let's get them out of here.
Yeah,
Let's get out of
this
here.
over with. Yeah, literally. So
And that's what it felt like.
I think that post West Coast road trip, there shouldn't be a game where the Celtics are playing fully healthy anymore. So they have 3 more. They got Phoenix, Memphis, and San Antonio. San Antonio smack dab in the middle of them. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't give it to in order. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games left, 2 of which are on the road, 5 are at home. I think from there on out, it is just you're playing Scrabble. All right, tonight you 3 are sitting. You the rest of the guys are going. Give Pritchard some rest, right? Give like Cornette, give him some, like, just start resting, start getting into playoff mode. Tonight was kind of shows you, yes, right. It, like you say, Seamus, freak accident. However, this is like
That can happen
minimize. Exactly. Minimize risk. How do you minimize risk? Minimize opportunity to get injured. How do you do that? You rest players on second nights of back-to-backs. And yeah, I'm not for it unless it's at this part of the year where it's winding down against some bottom of the NBA teams that we got coming up here. They're really, I mean, outside of Memphis in New York, these games are they're nothing games against nothing opponents. And I think Boston is in a situation now where they're playing well. It's clicking, right? And I know it's like, how much longer do you want to go? Probably 5 more games, right? Is realistic. They get it down to the last 5, the last week of the NBA is probably when they'll start doing it. However, I think tonight was scary enough to just kind of jumpstart that. So we'll have to see what Joe does moving forward, guys. Let's take a look at the lead tracker tonight. Guys, the sea of green in the second half has been a common trend now over the past 20 games from the Celtics, and I'm all for it. The Celtics tonight played back and forth against the Sacramento Kings here, really trailed for majority of that first quarter. You can see just over 10 minutes of that game, of the start of the game, Sacramento led, and they led by as many as 9 in that stretch. However, after that really third quarter just barrage of Boston, it was all green from there. The Celtics led by as many as 22 tonight, guys, in what, again, the sea of green continues a little bit shallower of a sea of green, but is still a sea of green nonetheless, guys. So, obviously this game overshadowed by the Jason Tatum injury. The Celtics, however, they got Jaylen Brown back. They were healthy outside of Horford and Hauser tonight. And we have seen these guys now string together over 25 games, a 21-4 record, and they have been very, very efficient at doing so, guys. How have the Celtics gotten back to their original winning ways? Because they're 21-4 in the past 25. The 25 prior to that, they were 14-11. So 2 big sample sizes of the season, polar opposite results. What has Boston done differently?
You're seeing a lot more of this team starting to gel together over the season, and you're starting to see this team start to become more of a coherent group more than individual performances during those that shaky part of the season in late December and January. You saw this team getting a lot of individual key performances, but you never really saw it come together as a group. Now you're starting to see them playing high intensity on the defensive end, being able to play with high IQ on switches, and also being able to leverage the hot hand and being able to spread the ball, and also getting the rotational players acclimated to playing with the starters has been a huge part of this team's success so far through the 6-game winning streak. And just being able to get those types of performances out of your bench players. Tonight, Pritchard stepped up again, making his case for 6th man of the year more and more prominent as the season goes forward. And that will probably be a conversation we'll have when that comes around. But I think that you're starting to see other players that were kind of question marks, and you didn't really know where they were going to fit in on this team, like Baylor Shireman starting to find his groove and starting to find that confidence that you saw in the G League with the main Celtics and those highlights that we would be able to see. And I just think also you're starting to get players like Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, not just back fully physically, but mentally as well. They're starting to get that attention and starting to get that flow state click that they've been looking for throughout the year, and what they really leaned on during their championship run last year. So I think that you're really starting to see this team come together. Obviously, you want to start to see them start to conserve themselves and prepare for the playoffs, but taking a game at a time and winning in different ways and with different facets of this team's roster is really what we're looking for this team through these final 15, through the past final 20 games of a season.
Well, looking at the lead tracker tonight, just the Celtics in general, what's been impressive with the Boston Celtics as of late is their ability to close out quarters. I mean, that first quarter tonight was not pretty for the Boston Celtics for the majority of the quarter until the end when the Boston Celtics actually held the lead. And you see every other quarter, well, every quarter, I should say, the Boston Celtics ended the quarter on a run or near the end of the quarter on a run. And that's a theme of the Boston Celtics as of late that we've really been seeing is regardless of whether it's a sea of green or not, which it has been quite a few times, I will say. But regardless of whether it's not a sea of green, we always see that uptick before the end of the quarters. And that's something the Celtics have done well lately that they did not do well earlier in the season. We saw them really finish quarters just terribly earlier this season, and they have not been doing that as of late. But there's more intricacies as to why that is for the Boston Celtics. I think there's just more care in this team at this point in time. I mean, on both ends of the floor, offensively, the team is sharing the ball at a tremendous rate. And this team playing team basketball right now is what we want to see because they're one of the most unselfish teams in the entirety of the NBA, and they were last season. And going forward, that's what they need to do in order to succeed in the playoffs is play team basketball. And that was actually a problem of this Celtics team earlier this season because we were questioning what happened to the 23-24 Boston Celtics as they entered the 24-25 year. Because at the beginning of this season, the Boston Celtics were not playing the team basketball that we were used to seeing them play. They were winning games, but there was a lot of shot chucking, a lot of isolation, a lot of one-on-one, and it seemed like the offense didn't function without Jason Tatum. And now, all of a sudden, I will say the offense going to be challenged without Jason Tatum moving forward. We're going to see a couple of tests, even though the schedule isn't that heavy for the Boston Celtics right now. We're still going to see a test without Jason Tatum out there in the lineup. But earlier this season, the offense just wasn't clicking at a cohesive rate they were last year, at the same cohesive rate they were last season. Yet now, the offense, I think, has completely flipped the script, and guys are becoming insanely unselfish. They're passing, they're making the extra pass every single time. They're passing to the open man, and there's not a ton of shot chucking. There's a lot of we're taking open shots. We're taking good shots. We're going downhill, going towards the lane, kicking out. Of course, Jason Tatum is a huge part of that, but we've seen other guys like Derek White be such a huge part of that as well. And he was really a huge catalyst, as we all know, of turning the season around for the Boston Celtics. And he's continued to be that spearhead alongside Jason Tatum with the ball in their hands and really driving down low, kicking out, and making the offense hum. And outside of them, it's guys like Peyton Pritchard, Al Horford, Sam Hauser, guys off the bench making the right plays, Kristaps Porzingis making the right decisions as well with the ball in their hands, making that extra pass, making that hockey assist. All those guys are super important. Drew Holiday all of a sudden is having himself a little bit of a renaissance at the end of the season. He's most of the season he struggled, but all of a sudden he's coming out and he's had a couple of games where he's played well at the end of the year. So there's been a lot to say on the Celtics change, offensively a lot, but defensively too. I think the care is there defensively. I don't think we're seeing these stretches anymore where most of the time when we see runs, we're seeing it come for the Boston Celtics. Beforehand in the season, it felt like that Bulls game earlier this season where we lost to the Bulls at home was almost the tipping point of a run leading to a loss by another team, because we had seen runs by other teams before where it was like, okay, they made a deep run, made it a close game, but the Celtics pulled through. That Bulls game at the end, it was like, oh, who's going to make the run? Who's going to make the run? And then all of a sudden, the Celtics, they didn't make the run. It was the Bulls making the run. And all of a sudden, the Bulls come out with the win at the Garden. That was the tipping point to eventually, hey, the Kings, we're facing the Kings tonight, but the Kings back in January, I already mentioned it, that game, that was tied at 76, I believe. Going into the fourth quarter, the Kings score nearly 40 points in the fourth quarter, and they're the team who makes the run. The Celtics lose that game. All of a sudden, this Celtics team now, they're the ones who are making the runs. We do not see these huge runs for other teams, and when we do, they're not as big, and they're shut down immediately. The Celtics respond to these runs. Earlier in the season, we were not seeing that. Now, the runs, feels like the Celtics, they know how to shut these runs down. Defensively, offensively, it's about getting a stop, getting a bucket, and the Celtics do that so tremendously well when a team's on a 10-0 run, any type of run, cutting the lead down for the Celtics. We've seen it time and time again in these games where we're going, oh, are they going through the motions a little bit? Celtics going through the motions, letting teams come back. even amidst that, there's a silver lining to take out is the Celtics, when those runs happen, the Celtics always respond. And that is a trait that you look out for in championship clubs. And the Celtics have been able to do that in this recent run. And it's really why they've been able to turn around their record and they are at where they are now. I mean, we thought, hey, this team, what is the record going to be at the end of the season? We keep going 500. What's going to happen? Well, all of a sudden, this team, this tonight was, I believe, win number 54, 53. Okay.
53.
Win number 53. Hopefully win number 54 coming in Phoenix. But win number 53, the 21-22 Celtics, they only won 51 games on that season. So this team has already surpassed that mark with 10 games left to go. And it doesn't feel like right now it's like, we could lose a game. Who knows? I mean, loss just doesn't feel imminent in any of these games.
Right.
For the Celtics when they go in. It's always expected to be a win, and we've regained that confidence within the Celtics team. So the second half of the season, it's certainly changed for the Boston Celtics, and I still think, all things considered, even the Jason Tatum injury, the Celtics are exactly where they want to be right now going into the playoffs, or at least going into the last 10 games of the season before the playoffs. Play-wise, they're exactly where they want to be. Health-wise, well, we'll check back in on that later in time. We'll see about that.
I remember we had a conversation, Seamus. Oh, God, I want to say in the middle of February, about random players going off on the Celtics, right? Oh, this narrative. Oh, guys are just going off on the Celtics. What the heck? They're coming to play against the defending champs. Is that true? No, it wasn't. We kind of said that. Like, sure, are they having some? No, it was defensive efforts. Boston wasn't putting effort in on defense. And as a result, some of these guys were sniffing that out and taking advantage of that. We saw Dylan Brooks put up 40 in TD Garden against Houston, back in February. I believe that was February, if I'm not mistaken.
It was like February 1st.
Yeah. January 27th. Jeez, that feels like that's wow. Time is flying. But so it's like so for me, it's been two things, right? Two major things. And real quick, I love the point you made, Seamus, on the ending the quarters out. So that's a very, very good point. Boston is doing a phenomenal job. We saw it tonight in the first quarter. The last 2 minutes of that first quarter, they were kind of trailing by 6, by 7, and then here they go. They close the lead. They take the lead, actually, with that Peyton Pritchard buzzer beater on a kick out from Tatum to give them the 1-point lead entering the second. So I love that point. For me, though, two things. Biggest difference. Shot quality is the number one. They are striving, and that comes with the passing. We also talked about. They're striving to get the best available shot every time down the court. It's no more of this isolation, step back, chuck up a three. Still see it a little bit, but that's the Celtics offense. Second one, defensive intangibles. They are shutting teams down now, guys. The teams aren't scoring over 100 points pretty much at all against the Boston Celtics. I believe it's only happened 3 times in the last 12 games. So those two things for me have been the biggest difference.
All right, some promotion for the Celtics Talk Weekly YouTube, which everybody is actually watching this program on right now. But the video, well, I should say, the segment you're talking about right now on Postgame where we had this conversation, it was clipped. Here it is, folks. Here it is. This is
right there.
Check out this video.
1 month ago.
Check out this video, folks. There we go.
It is literally, hopefully I'm pointing the right way. Right there.
Oh, I don't know if
I got it.
I don't think you're at. Oh, there we go. There we go.
There we go.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
So go watch that video because again, we talk about it. And I remember thinking like, no, like, and you see it on Twitter so much. Again, you can't tell from this, but I'm on Twitter pretty much the entire Celtics game, just on my phone, just scrolling and seeing what the community has to say. And then the commentary was like, oh my God, screw this. The Celtics lose another game because some random bench player scores 20. It's like, no, like, random bench player is scoring 20. That's on your defense. He's just not like, these are all capable NBA players that can produce if a team's not showing up. So those have been the two biggest things for me: shot quality and defensive intangibles. I mean, they really are. You guys alluded to it. Stopping runs. They're stopping runs defensively. If the offense isn't always there, I mean, we only scored 113 points tonight, right? In today's NBA, that's below league average, and we still won by 20, pretty much 18. So it's like, again, that's what the 2024 Celtics did. That's what they were so dominant. They were the best offensive team in the league and a top 3 defensive team in the league and the best defensive team in the league when they were playing their best. So if Boston can continue to keep this up for the last 10 games here and roll into the playoffs with playing this level of defense, then I mean, it's going to be very difficult to beat these guys because cracking 105 points is a challenge. While they can Boston on the other end, you need to have a good defense, the top tier defense to hold them from them not cracking 110. And so again, I mean, night and day, big time stuff out of the Celtics from that department.
You're starting to see this team start to get over that hump of just going through the motions when it comes down to just playing like lackluster defense. Obviously, you're starting to see these matchups start to play into the Celtics' hands because I do believe the Celtics went through a harder stretch of the season in January, December, schedule-wise, and just schedule strength in general. I think this is the lighter end of the schedule. So it was really them getting through that rough part and making it through, not missing anyone for any extensive periods of time. Right now, the Celtics are lucky, and also credit to the coaching and medical staff for being able to keep these guys well rested.
Shout out Nick.
Yep.
Keeping JT right. Shout out Nick.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of keeping these ultimatum lineups, especially on back-to-backs. Last night we saw like a Group A type of ordeal, and it's good to see all three of those guys back on the court. Jrue Holiday, it looks like he's back to full strength tonight. He was all over the court, also making plays down low, and started off the first quarter strong and kind of led this team into getting back into this game. But one thing that I've noticed is this team has taken a lot of advantage of momentum, and one momentum that this team has a huge advantage with is when it reaches that time for the first rotation of the game. That first rotation crew has been absolutely stellar for the Celtics, and bouncing back in that first quarter if the team is struggling, or if they do have that momentum and the starters started off the game hot, they're very capable of carrying that over and continuing it on. Baylor or Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser are usually the people that have been the key aspects of that alongside Al Horford. But the fact that this team has been able to continue that momentum with the players filling in the first quarter has just really set this team into a different category. And it was what this team was struggling with earlier on in the season. But I think these injuries have kind of, it's never good to see an injury, but it's always good to see an opportunity go to a rotational player.
It's opened them up. And Frank, I'm sorry. I have failed this post-game show because I meant to do this coming in, but my man, you're dressed to impress tonight. You came all dapper. Now I gotta ask you a question though. I have to ask you a question. Is this head to toe? Can we get a fit check, or are you rocking shorts with that?
Oh, this is like
business casual.
Business casual.
Pants on.
This is like this is gonna be like the ESPN commercial with John Clayton where he like gets up and he's just wearing like swim trunks and like flip flops, and he's got like a bowl of ramen.
I had to ask if it was head to toe.
Mom, I'm doing a segment.
Nonetheless, Franco, you're looking fly, my man. You're looking fly. Let's talk about the player of the game though tonight, guys. Jason Tatum. Now, in 26 minutes tonight, unfortunately, again, the injury popped up. JT was the seat geek. Franco in dress code. Absolutely, he is. Franco well, but before, you know what? I'm sorry. Let's give some love to Franco real quick. Franco, yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving the fit. But again, let's talk about the SeatGeek player of the game, player spotlight, Jason Tatum, guys. Before we talk about JT real quick, the playoffs are coming, and there is no better time to go catch the Boston Celtics, the red hot Boston Celtics, than now. Guys, SeatGeek has you covered for the best ticket prices on the market. Again, guys, at checkout, use code Celtics Weekly for $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek has you covered for not just the Boston Celtics, but all live events in your area or around the country. So a huge shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring the postgame show. Guys, let's talk about JT. In 26 minutes tonight, JT put up, and I'm pretty impressive, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. He was a plus 13 on the plus minus box score, and he was a very I'm sorry, that's a typo. That is a typo. I apologize. That is not his shooting splits. He was indeed 8 of 15 from the floor in 5 of 9 from behind the arc. I apologize. That is the late night show getting the best of us tonight. I have been so good and so clean on my track record, and these late games just creep up and they take advantage of you, man. Guys, however, Jason Tatum in his last 10 games has been playing. Oh, you got what do you got?
No, I'm saying, like, let's note it for the people. Sam Hauser, 8 of 11 last night.
Yeah,
8 of 11.
That's what it was.
That's what it was.
So if you missed it last night, 8 of 11 for Sam Hauser, 8 of 10 from 3. So
as you can tell, I use the same templates. I do. I don't make a new one every night. Maybe I should start making a new one.
No.
We're breaking
same
template
template is fine. I'm sure we all do this.
But guys, Jason Tatum has arguably been playing the best basketball of his entire career, guys. In the last 10 games, he's been on an absolute tear, scoring over 20 points in 9 of the last 10, having himself a 40-point game in that stretch, and essentially dominating the stat sheet in every facet of the game, guys. Obviously, Tatum goes down tonight. However, we are assuming he's going to be okay and back for the playoffs. But this is a player that we have talked a lot about this season. And Bill Simmons was talking to Colin Cowherd. I don't know if you saw the clip. And it feels like right now there aren't many players you can put ahead of what Jason Tatum is doing in himself. And tonight he showed that again. And it feels like we've talked about this, the culmination of Jason Tatum wearing a Celtics uniform, and the growth has been shown and displayed every single year, whether it's, him adding his playmaking to the bag, or him adding that, 3-level threat to the bag, or the size. And we've seen it, the defensive ability back in 21-22 is the first year he really turned into like this two-way player. Guys, this year it feels like Tatum has finally entered the start of his prime and has put it all together. And something tells me we might see Jason Tatum hit a new level too, with only being 27 just a couple weeks ago. When you look at Jason Tatum in his growth as a basketball player, is this the best version of Jason Tatum we have ever seen?
Yeah, and I don't think we're not done seeing it get better. I think we've seen a lot of maturing in his game, a lot of things that he has changed in his game. Obviously, this season, you've seen adjustments happen. From the first game of this year, you saw a brand new jump shot from the NBA Finals from a year before then. So he's always adapting something new to his game. The playmaking that he has added to his arsenal has become phenomenal and has really tilted the court for the Boston Celtics, leading to a lot of shot opportunities and playmaking facilitation from the other players on the court, the other starting 5 being able to open up the game for them. And I said that we're only going to see it get better over time because there's just going to be so many new obstacles for him to face as times go forward. Obviously, we've been talking about with the new ownership, what the CBA is going to look like, what is going to happen to a roster when it looks like. I think that Jason Tatum is going to show more attributes in a scoring category as time goes forward. But right now, you're starting to see that team leader is starting to develop in him. Having him have that strength to shoot those free throws tonight was big for this team. Being able to just close out, seeing him in good spirits after a win tonight, and being healthy is a huge sign for this team going forward. A question is, like, we have looked at this roster and said, what could this team win without Kristaps Porzingis out of there? this roster, could this team win without Drew Holiday out sitting out during the playoffs? And the only one that my answer changes definitely is with Jason Tatum. Can this team win a championship without Jason Tatum? That is a very highly doubtful. You're going to need to see Jaylen Brown become a superhuman and unlock a new category that we've never seen before or ever expected him to reach. So I think his health is his biggest attribute. His availability has been one of his best abilities so far. He's been a juggernaut for this team, being able to play most of his career, never really seeing any major injuries. So hopefully this is nothing to worry about. Obviously, when I saw that ankle injury, I'm hoping that he's not grabbing at the same ankle that bothered him a few years back during that playoff series. But because ankle injuries, once you tweak an ankle, even if you just take the wrong step on a carpet wrong, it's gonna bother you. So it's something that should might linger, but hopefully not too profoundly. And just to round this off, I just think him becoming a point guard and really becoming the 1A facilitator for this team has set him over the edge, and also the fact that he's been able to balance it out on the defensive end.
Well, the reason Jason Tatum's ankle injury was the story of the night is because of how good Jason Tatum is as a basketball player, and how great Jason Tatum is as a basketball player, and how important Jason Tatum is to the Celtics team, especially come playoff time. That all matters when it comes to all of us looking at Jason Tatum on the floor and having our hearts sink. I mean, that's what happened when Jason Tatum was rolling around. We were all questioning, oh my goodness, is this what does this mean? What is this going to mean for the Boston Celtics? That was the first question everybody asked. What does this mean moving forward? And the reason everybody asked that question is because Jason Tatum, the importance he brings to this Boston Celtics club. I mean, he is the Celtics version of Nikola Jokic. He is the Celtics version of LeBron James. He is the Celtics version of Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, all these important players who ever won championships and played, like Giannis Antetokounmpo as well. He is the Celtics Giannis right now, and that is really how good Jason Tatum is. I mean, we think about all these other superstars and how much levitation they get within the NBA sphere, but the level of play Jason Tatum brings to the floor for the Boston Celtics is right on par with all these superstar players. And the Celtics missing a player like Jason Tatum, it would be like the Lakers missing LeBron. It would be like the Nuggets, actually, who have been missing Nikola Jokic for quite a while now, all of a sudden, since the Celtics game, actually, leading back all the way to that Sunday game.
Yikes.
It would be like the Bucks missing Giannis. You guys get the point here. Is Jason Tatum, the importance he brings to the Celtics club is on both ends of the floor. And Franco, you went through a lot of it, but I'll just reiterate some of it. Jason Tatum as a playmaker, the entire Celtics offense runs through Jason Tatum with the ball in his hands, and Jason Tatum is a huge factor in the Celtics offense running cleanly. It's not as if the Celtics can't succeed without Jason Tatum out there on the floor, because we have a bunch of unselfish players. We have a bunch of guys who can handle the ball, make good decisions with the ball in their hands, can really score on their own if they wanted to. The main guy, of course, being Jaylen Brown in that aspect. But we've seen a couple of guys, Drew Holiday, Derek White, they've been able to score on their own if they wanted to. Kristaps Porzingis has to be set up a little bit more, but even himself in the low post, he can score if he wants to, especially off pick and pop opportunities to top the key. So we have a guy like Kristaps who can get his, along with Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown. Those are really the top four you're looking at. Peyton Pritchard as well. He's not shy to take his own shots. Celtics do have some guys who can create their own shot, and maybe not to the level of Jason Tatum, but to a sufficient level for the offense. And you also have these guys who are unselfish, can hit 3-point shots, can still run the Celtics offense without Jason Tatum. But Jason Tatum, what he does for the Celtics offense, he is like the main locomotive to the entire train. I mean, you take out the main locomotive, and yes, you have some of your backups, some of your other generators going within the train, but when you're missing your top guy, the train's just not going to go along as it usually does. But not only that, is defensively, Jason Tatum. You just look at his size, you look at his length, you look at his activity out there. It's not matched by many players in the NBA. What Jason Tatum brings from a physicality standpoint on the defensive end of the floor, and even an athletic standpoint on the defensive end of the floor, and just all of what the Celtics could be missing the next couple of games in Jason Tatum. It's going to be a great opportunity for some of the bench guys, some of the forward rotation to really get a run, for Jason Tatum to get a rest too. But just in terms of Jason Tatum playing well, he was on such a roll as of late. And even in this game, I mean, he came out of the game with 25 points. He could have been on his way for 40 tonight. I mean, he was only 8 of 15 from the floor. He started well from three. I believe he was 5 of 9 from three to end the night. He ended his night early in the third quarter. Jason Tatum did. But he was just on a roll with the Celtics team, and he wasn't in the MVP conversation, as we know. He kind of threw that dream out the window, but I don't doubt Jason Tatum third MVP this year, and that to me does mean something in the historical rankings of the NBA. I always go back to the 18-19 season. I still can't believe how great of a season Paul George had that year, third in MVP. I'll always remember that in terms of that story of that season. It's the third slot, Paul George. He may not have been as good as Giannis or James Harden that year, but if those guys weren't at ultra mega star levels, Giannis and Harden in 2018-19, it was like Paul George was the third best player in the NBA. That's how I feel about Jason Tatum right now. Is SGA, Jokic, they're having mega star seasons. We know Tatum's on the same level. His team's different. His opportunity is different. But being that third guy in the race right there, that is certainly important to the historical aspect of Tatum's season. And he really hasn't fallen off at all. And that's what makes this injury so, I mean, just, I don't want to say devastating, but to the Celtics run right now, I mean, this is one of the worst. It's not the worst thing. We talk about rock bottom, no worse. It could get worse. But this is definitely not what we want to see, Jason Tatum's injury, because of just the main point, how good Jason Tatum is, how great Jason Tatum is. I mean, that's why this ankle injury was the story of the night. Jason Tatum is so good, was so good, all the way up until his final moments on court when he went out there and shot those free throws. Always got to do the legendary free throw shooting when you tear your ACL, Achilles, whatever.
Hopefully it's just a sprained ankle.
Well, I know. I'm saying this. No, this is gonna be like Kobe's flu game from like 20. What third? No, it was like 2012. He was like, at the flu, and he lost by like 20 to the Nuggets in Denver. Like that was. It's like we'll leave it there. It's like, oh no, it's just an ankle. It's not a Klay Thompson moment. It's not a Kobe moment. It's not a Kyrie moment right now. It's just a Jason Tatum sprained ankle moment.
Well, I think what's so amazing about watching Tatum this year is we've seen it kind of build up to this, where in my eyes, the real progression of Jason Tatum starts in 2019, 2020, the first year Kyrie left. Those first 2 years were so weird. He was so raw. He was a rookie, and then a sophomore year where it was just a mess. But the first 2 years, right, 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, the first 2 years he made All-Star was kind of the emergence of Jason Tatum as the pure scorer, where you kind of finally saw this guy. He was just a bucket getter. Like you really couldn't kind of stop him from an offensive standpoint. He really hadn't put all that muscle on yet. So he was quicker, and, from behind the arc, he was much more efficient, and he was just a raw scorer. And then he added in 21, 22, that defensive two-way kind of, aspect to his game. He put on a little bit more muscle. Ime got him playing defense, and we saw him kind of officially assert himself as a two-way. And then in 22, 23, 24, we saw him, and really in the back half of 22, 23, really that playoff series against Miami will always stand out to me. It was the first time where I saw Tatum unlock this playmaking ability. And it was like, whoa, like this guy's controlling the pace of the game right now. We've never seen that. And not many players have that, ability. And then last year, we saw Tatum take over games in terms of controlling it, but we saw him struggle at getting his at the same time, controlling the game,
Right.
but doing it on all aspects, scoring, rebounding, defense, passing. He couldn't tie it all together quite really. He couldn't do it efficiently. This year, we're seeing it. Since 2019 to 2024, we are seeing each progression, and it's finally all together. Tatum is able to get his when he wants to and get the others around him the ball when he needs to. And I think that's been very impressive for Tatum. The fact that this is his first year, 27, of his prime, fully understanding it. And there's not many players in the league, and really 2 or 3 come to mind in terms of have complete control over the game. That's Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, and probably LeBron's running mate, Luka Doncic. Now, Luka only, the weird thing about him is he only does it on 50% of the game. He only does it on the offensive end of the floor, so it's different for him. But when I talk about full control of the game, they have the unique ability to literally control how the game is played. The pace from a defensive standpoint and the pace from an offensive standpoint. Tatum has that right now. He has the game almost on strings. And when you watch it, the naked eye, first ever basketball game, you're able to point out number 0 wearing green and saying, oh yeah, he's the best player on the floor. You can tell. And there's no doubts or questions about it. So when I look at Tatum, that's the difference maker with him, right? And if you want to compare him to anybody else, that's the unique quality in the trait he's unlocked that really, in my eyes, takes him to an elevated status that could make him so truly great. His ability to really control the game. I don't even think Kevin Durant had that back when Durant was doing his thing in Oklahoma. In terms of a complete controlled aspect of the game, Durant never got there from a playmaking aspect. And you are so dangerous when you can play make, you're a threat, when the guys around you are threats, and you yourself can get 50. And that's really tough to defend. So you're looking at a guy right here, guys, that is truly, since LeBron, the only guy that has ever been able to play the 1 through 5 on both ends of the floor. He has the frame for it. He has the ability to do it. And I really believe what you're watching right now with Jason Tatum is this generation's best player coming up. This next 10 years, I believe this guy is going to be this golden standard of what the NBA prototypical, guy looks like. He fits and checks all the boxes. He is 6'9". He has a guard's handle. He can rebound. He can play defense. He can pass. He can score. He checks all the boxes. He can guard 1 through 5. And he really has this year shown us, this is what Jason Tatum's about. This is what he can do. He can control the game on every aspect. Not many players in NBA history have been able to control the game. And Jason Tatum is now establishing himself, as a guy that can do that. That's impressive. That's scary. And I agree with you, Franco. You haven't seen the best version of Tatum yet. This is just the first look into what having complete control of the game looks like. This is Tatum's first year doing it. Just wait until he's 4 years down the road where he really understands the game and the game is completely slowed down. It's going to be very difficult to stop him when that happens.
Yeah, I'm really starting to see that physical frame also starting to come into play. You're starting to see that mentality start to change in Tatum as well. You're starting to see that championship DNA start to be built up. And that's something that I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're a team that I think will develop that type of DNA, but you have to look what Jason Tatum went through. That's kind of the pretty much framework of what's going to happen in the NBA. You're going to fail, and it's going to be heartbreak after heartbreak. It's just being able to recuperate and being able to make those advancements within your game instead of throwing your hands up and trying to see if another team is better or if the grass is greener on the other side. And you're just seeing Tatum start to really add every single attribute he's added to his game over time, taking the criticisms that he's received. And I feel like the national backlash he receives, the people not considering him as a contender or even a top 3 player in today's NBA is baffling at this point in time in his career and at this point in time in the NBA season, even if you are just a casual, you need to be able to see what this guy has been able to do with the championship team or back contending championship team looking to go back to back and really being able to lead them and add those other the mindset, being able to be we always used to talk about Tatum not being that vocal leader, but I think that Tatum has really stepped up into a leadership role as his time has went forward and gained that mutual respect of that locker room where everyone on the team understands that he is the guy and he's not just another guy. And it's not just everyone else is playing at the same level. They understand that we need to have this guy put in the best efforts and maximize him to his best abilities. And obviously, we saw last year he tried to spread the ball out a lot more, but when Jason Tatum is the best player on the court during a game, that is the best situation the Boston Celtics can be in.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, Jason Tatum, right at this point in the season, we've exhausted all the great speech on Jason Tatum because of how great he's actually been this entire year. He is at another level right now that we've never seen before, not even last season. I mean, I think back to 2022, I thought, ooh, Jason Tatum, kind of turned the corner that season. Of course, earlier in that year, 21-22, the 21 portion, which Celtics they were, 18, 21, somewhere in there. 3 games below 500 before, well, not before the new year, but around New Year's in 2022. The Celtics that year with Jason Tatum, if you go back and watch the film, it is seriously like, whoa, what is going on? Like it looks very different than what Jason Tatum looks like today, or the play of Jason Tatum looks very different than what we expect Jason Tatum to come out and play like today. And even last year, I think Jason Tatum was not at this level. Right now, we've never seen this before from Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. Both of them have been dominant before. Both of them have gone on streaks where they played very, very well for an elongated period of time, but it's never looked this easy,
Right.
right? Jason
Exactly.
Tatum is just making it look easy right now. He's coming into each and every one of these games and going, I'm getting at near 30. I'm throwing up an efficient shooting split. Even last night, I believe it was last night, right? Jason Tatum, he shot 1 of 7 from three, and he was still 11 of 24 from the floor. It's like he was still fairly efficient on 24
Right.
shots, made 11, and he was 1 of 7 from three. I mean,
With
he wasn't even
39 and
shooting
9, with a near 30-point triple double.
right, and that's where you're looking at his game going, okay, if he's failing in one category, he's excelling in another. I mean, on some
Exactly.
nights where we look at it, go, oh, he only has 3 assists, and it's like, oh, wait, whoa, he has 40. He had 40 that night. Oh, he had he had 40. But then on other nights, like last night, 39 and 9, and he's not even shooting well. It used to be, oh, he has to shoot well in order for himself to have a good game. Well, he doesn't have to shoot well from three for himself to have a good all around game outside of that aspect of his game. And that's where, to me, he's gone up to another level, is just the ease in which everything comes to within his game and how he gets his numbers. I mean, Jason Tatum literally comes into every single game and just dominates. That's what we see out of the greats. LeBron James comes into every single game, dominates. Giannis dominates. Jokic dominates. Jason Tatum, he's on that same level right now because he comes into each and every game, he dominates, walks out, and we kind of go, oh, that was quiet. That was kind of quiet, 33 from Jason Tatum. Obviously, we saw him out there, huge impact, but back in 2019-20, Jason Tatum scored 39 twice. There was an occasion against the Hornets, and then there was an occasion against the Clippers later on in the year, and that was really the day Jason Tatum became a star. He went into the game against Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and came out with 39 points. When of course those guys were on top of the NBA pyramid, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard facing that was the first the Battle of LA year with Battle of LA. Oh, some NBA history. That had been going on for a while, but Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, they made that into an actual thing with the Lakers and winning a championship. But we all know how that went in time. But that was the moment where Jason Tatum became a star, and him scoring 39 was just whoa, 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 whoa. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we've seen a 60 game out of Tatum. We've seen 50 games in the playoffs, 46 game on the road against Milwaukee, a 51-point performance against the Sixers in game 7. We've seen, Rob, you kind of mentioned a lot of the crucial playoff moments that we've been through, specifically with Brown and Tatum the other day. Jason Tatum, he has all these performances under his belt now. I mean, at what point does he actually receive the respect of what one day we will look back at Jason Tatum and go, he is an all-time great player. He was an all-time great player for this era. I don't know where he slots in, top 25, top 10, top 15. I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything in that regard, but he's going to be one of the greats all time. Of course, in the franchise, the Celtics organization, but just the NBA in general. And right now, Tatum is reaching that next level of stardom where he's hit every single, like you were saying, Rob, the progression since 2019 to 2024. He's hit every single prong on the ladder, and now it seems like he's hitting another one where at age 27, it's just becoming easy for him. It's just becoming easy
Right.
on a night in and night out basis to where he's coming in, playmaking for his teammates, getting his own whenever he wants. Defenses can't guard him. He's always making the right decisions, and he's always playing on both ends of the floor. I mean, this is a truly great player that needs to be recognized for who he is, and not slain. Okay, not slain. There are too many people out there that want to slain Jason Tatum's name, and we all know Colin Cowherd, one of those guys, and he's been very vocal about that. No, Jason Tatum, he just doesn't have any aura. No aura for Jason Tatum, and it's like, what are you talking about? We're playing
Pathetic.
basketball. It's like aura matters. Trust me. Like, you walk in, you want to have some swagger walking in, but efficiency matters on the court. I mean, it's not just aura. It's I'm just saying. I mean, look at Nikola Jokic. He looks like he's in flip flops every single night. There's that kind of aura, and there's that level of greatness to the game of basketball, and that's just what it is. And to me, Jason Tatum, I don't want to get into the long, elongated conversation of how people view certain basketball players. If you aren't athletic or you don't get off the floor, you play this certain way. Guys don't like them. Guys that are going Alper and Şengün. Who is this? Who is this goofy guy? But it's like, oh, he's actually one of the more efficient players in the entire NBA at age 21, and for what he is. And so Jason Tatum, I mean, that's where the confusing part is to me. It's like he is everything you want in a superstar.
Exactly.
Literally everything you want. Everything. 6'10", can handle the ball, can score, can play defensively, plays on both ends of the floor. I mean, he's a great media personality from the standpoint of, he's not totally out there. He's not so reserved to where people are always asking about him. He's just available. He has that charming personality, and he's everything you would want in a superstar. That's where I don't understand how we have the face of the NBA conversation so many times this year, but it's like it's kind of obvious. It's kind of
Right.
obvious who is one of at least the faces of the NBA. I mean, there's always a couple, but certainly one of them is Jason Tatum. One of them
Yeah.
is Jason Tatum. You got to put him, if you put him on the Mount Rushmore of NBA faces right now, he's right up there. He's right up there. And we're going to come back and we're going to check these receipts come June. I will say this because back-to-back titles, I mean, that would definitely put him
I was about to say
into a
that.
place of people apologizing for
Right.
Jason Tatum. What is the phrase? It's your apologies should be louder than
As
the
loud as the
criticism.
disrespect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
that's what it's going to be for Jason Tatum. I mean, that's what it's always been with the Boston Celtics, I will say. That's just a theme. Everybody in the Celtics organization. It's kind of like Celtics it's kind of weird. This season we entered, favorites, last year favorites, but Boston likes that underdog story. I like that underdog story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if he goes back to back, then the discourse is about to change very, very quickly. And there's a real possibility they do it. So the Celtics, as for tonight, guys, they took another step closer to completing their title defense chases, 113-95 tonight against the Sacramento Kings. Again, Jason Tatum was our SeatGeek player spotlight. 25 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists in 25 minutes for JT. Obviously went down there later in the third quarter with a right ankle sprain. Hopefully he will be okay. Follow us over on Instagram and X. We will keep you updated there. Guys, the Celtics are going to be back in action Wednesday night against the Phoenix Suns. Another late late one. So stay up late night with us as they will look to continue extend their winning streak to 7 games. Guys, after the final buzzer sounds, come right back here to the Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. We'll have you covered. Again, a little late night show. Maybe Franco comes in a tie. You got a tie next week?
Next show, I'm actually going to be in Boston.
You're not here. Yeah,
I'm
right.
going to give myself a quick free plug. Go on Wednesday, March 26th, go to the Wilbur Theater for the Nightmare with Casey Sherman. We're going to have 3 acts. We're going to be covering the Boston Strangler. We're going to be covering a Murder in Hollywood with the Frank Stompanato story and Lana Turner. And then we're also going to be doing the Tony Costa Murder on Cape Cod story. So a lot of great actors. All the money's going to the ALS Pete Frady's Foundation. Make sure to check it out and join us there.
Our guy Gary Tangway's involved.
Yep,
in there.
Gary Tangway will be there.
Go support Celtics Talk Weekly's own Franco and Gary Tangway, who we've had on the show, and we love him over there. So again, shout out to Franco and what they're doing over there. Go check that out if you're in the area. And again, we will see you Wednesday night, late night. I guess Franco won't. He's busy, but Seamus and I will see you. Maybe we'll come with some suits. Maybe we'll get the suits.
Okay, but I love Franco setting the precedent of the suits. So I was thinking about it. I don't know when I was thinking about it, but I was going, I gotta find the clip of when I went on that rant earlier this season on Postgame about coaches should just come on. We gotta bring the suits back. We gotta bring the suits back. You gotta bring the suits back. I know there's a rant somewhere out there.
Playoffs?
Yeah, that'll be the dress code for playoffs.
Dress out for playoffs?
If you're not wearing a suit, you're not on the post-game show.
Well, guys,
well, John Clay,
again,
second mention.
Thank you so much. Yes, cue the music, and you know the drill, guys. Until next time.